Alright, so we're back for another week trading NQ, and this week was a real toughie, I ain't even gonna lie. I got pounded pretty bad at the start of the week, but honestly near the end we were starting to see the light and move on that right path, so stick around for that. And I've been thinking more and more about what I could be missing and shit, but what I realized was that I was approaching it all wrong, and I'll tell you guys a bit more about that during the recap as well, so yeah, I'll stick around for that as well. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's just get into this week's trades. Alright, so first day back in the charts, we seem to be pretty bullish since we had this 4-hour and 1-hour order block here at the small price going up. We had a nice prominent drawn liquidity as well, so I wanted to see if we could get in and cash that wave higher. And I did see that the low time room wasn't that pretty though, which does put me off the setup quite a bit. We do have imbalances for longs, but I do want to see a bit of a pullback before going for our setup because we do seem to be breaking higher currently. And we didn't get to see that because the server crashed and I ended up not being able to take a trade. Dude, actually, why did the servers crash in the first place? Like, I have no... The trade that I wanted to take today did play out pretty well, but I didn't manage to catch it. We ended up just running through all the prominent draws on liquidity that I wanted to target, and then the server ended up crashing shortly after this, so I ended up just calling it a day there to bring home a nice little profit of nothing. Alrighty, with the setup today, price seemed to be pretty bearish currently, as I did notice the 4-hour and 1-hour order block being respected for bearish, and we did seem pretty nice on the low time frame though, as we were respecting a 5-minute order block currently. There was a 15-minute order block above that was untapped though, so I could see price tapping it, as we could also tap deeper into the high time frame imbalances above. And I'll see how price reacts to the 5-minute imbalance though, as it is my key level, and if we do get some confirmation, then I'll be pretty confident. And shortly after we did end up getting that confirmation, we developed a 5-minute IFG to the sell side, and we also got a 5-minute fair value gap from the shift lower, which made for a good setup. Price ended up wicking the fair value gap, which gave me confidence to enter into the setup, and it was playing out really well. We're steadily pushing down, but I was noticing that we were losing a lot of power, which did get me thinking about the other possibilities. And I did see that there are some conflicting confluences on the low time frame, and we were overall respecting a 15-minute order block too, which did put me off quite a bit. That, along with the untapped 15-minute order block from before, and this actually ended up making me top up on contracts where we were confirming to trend lower, and I wanted to target the recent low, as I felt that that one was more confirmed and I was more confident in that target being hit before price ripped higher. Though this wasn't the case, and price ended up ripping higher and ended up stopping me out for a loss of 450. Okay, so I know what I did today seemed pretty stupid, but hear me out. Since I saw those conflicting confluences on the high time frame, I did make the adjustment, and that adjustment did actually end up cooking me. I do feel pretty stupid looking back, but considering the information I was presented with at that time, I honestly don't blame myself for targeting something closer. I think my problem is just that I'm too passive. As some of you know, I'm a lot more passive with my setups, and that passive nature does help in the sense that I don't revenge trade or anything, but it also makes me scared to risk in general. Like today, had I just kept the trade in despite the other information, I could have just profited, and I could have just kept it in, because I should have confidence in the things I saw in market, which made me decide to take that setup in the first place. And this also happened last week too, with the setup where I moved to break even too quickly and price ended up just running really well. I think this is something that I need to adjust, because, you know, I won't achieve anything if I don't risk anything and put anything on the table, because like with these two setups I just talked about, I could have passed the account by now. This is something that I have noticed, that, you know, I'm too scared. I'm too scared to risk on anything. Like I'm too scared to allow my trade to play out, even though I am confident in it. I want to move to break even so quickly, and that makes me end up losing the setup. And with today, I wanted to, it was the same idea of wanting to reduce the risk, which is why I did top up contracts and target something closer, because I thought that we could hit that target before price pushed up, but that wasn't the case, and I ended up losing more. Alright, so for today we do seem to be favoring the sells a lot more, as we were respecting a 4-hour order block overall. We are currently retesting into this 1-hour order block, which does make me lean towards the sells too, and we do have a wick sweep, which does make me feel less confident that we'll run farther, and that wick sweep does indicate that we are chopped on the high time frame. Because of that, I want to see how price looks lower down. And honestly, price on the low time frame wasn't looking too bad either. We had a 15-minute plus 5-minute fair value gap, which we retested into, and we were respecting. We also tapped the 5-minute highlight golden zone, which does give me a lot of confidence for the sells, but remembering that wick from before, I probably would go for a smaller trade today and not go for some extreme target. And during market open, price ended up dumping hard to all the targets that I wanted, so damn, I guess I just gotta wait then. We did have some potential for the longs here, but I wanted to wait for a 5-minute IFG, which we did get, and I honestly liked the setup quite a bit, as the setup was quite clean and had good confluences, and I was giving the trade time to run. Slowly price started trending down until it stopped me out for a loss of 580. And for today's setup, honestly, I still don't mind it. I kept that aggressive nature that I said I wanted to keep and went into the trade that I saw, which didn't play out, and that's all good. I will say that I will have new combine because of the 40% code we got for the AWS outage, and this account is on its last leg. It's just all a learning experience at the end of the day, and I am risking more because eval stages aren't the place to be stuck at. So yeah. But the trade today, what I missed out on was that price from the break of the 5-minute IFG had very weak bullish power. We've just failed to continue higher, and this confluences that I pointed out at the start as well, those were still in play, so which meant that the sells were still prominent. And I did notice these things that ended up taking the trade in the wrong direction, but still, it's all good. I'll analyze the market more carefully in the future, and I'll make adjustments so, you know, these mistakes are less likely to happen. Ni hao, fine shits. Today, low-key, we do seem pretty bearish on the high time frame as we do have this 4-hour fair value gap that we are respecting right now. And we did develop this fresh 1-hour fair value gap, which I reckon we could retest into a little. Though, looking at the low time frame, we do have a pretty nice key level of a 15 and 5-minute order block that's overlapped 1-hour fair value gap. And since this level is so strong, I wanted to see the reaction to it before deciding on my trade for today. And going into today, we ended up forming pretty bullish during market open, and this did go against my bearish bias, but we were still within the 15-minute fair value gap, so we could still be respected, but yeah, that idea didn't last long. Price ended up just continuing higher and higher, and I did end up catching the setup today, which is alright. I think it's better to not force it if it's something that I can't realistically see during the live market. And there was a potential long setup today though, which does fit my criteria, where there was a high time frame wick sweep and a respect of a 15 and 5-minute order block, which price respected. We ended up breaking past a 1-minute fair value gap too, so even though we had very weak bullish power at the time, the confluences ended up holding, and we eventually gained more power to go for the longs. But yeah, I didn't see that possibility during the live trading, so it's not something I would realistically take. Though perhaps if I incorporate some, more analysis on candle nature during pre-market, I could low-key get more accurate reads. I don't know. I'll give it a shot tomorrow. Alright gang, looking at price today, we finally swept our all-time high and we formed pretty bullish here on the 1 hour, with the only other high time frame confluence being the 1 hour order block below. And coming in deeper, I do see a 15-minute fair value gap below, which is unfilled, and we are currently retesting into the 5-minute balance here, so I low-key do feel the shorts. Alright, hear me out real quick. So I know that since we are at all-time highs, technically a lot of you would consider just going for the longs, but since we did just sweep out the high and we have a 15-minute fair value gap that's unfilled, I would expect this imbalance to be hit first. Just my 2 cents for this. But yeah, shorties, price ended up providing that setup pretty quick. We developed a new 5-minute order block for bullish, which I did note down, but we were still overall respecting that 5-minute order block for bearish, and we did have a wick sweep of the highs too, which counted for that candle nature aspect. And price ended up shifting lower with some nice power, which I entered off of, and priced in my TV pretty quick for a nice win of 480. Real clean setup today that I'm happy with. I think I analyzed pretty well and kept a cool head, and the analysis allowed me to get a pretty accurate read on the charts because I properly balanced confluences and candle nature. And since I got that balance right and I executed with confidence, I landed on the right side of probability, and I ended up taking a nice little dub. So yeah, honestly really happy with it. Alright, so that about does it for this week. Don't really know how to feel about this week because midway through the week I was really losing it, but I reckon I pulled it back pretty well to close the week with a cheeky dub. Main thing that I did was just remind myself of the lessons from before that I learned, because low-key I got reminders for them midway through, stuff like confluences, X candle nature, and balancing patience and aggression. And I did think I was going down a pretty bad path initially because I was planning on just high risk the accounts and just rip trades, but low-key I don't got the funds for that, and I think that's not the right way to trade, so that's not how I would want to trade in the future. So I think managing to pull myself back was really good. And another thing was just thinking positively, I remember I mentioned this earlier in one of the prior weeks, but recently it just wasn't going that well, and to be honest I didn't even notice. I thought I was doing all good until I actually sat down and had a little think about it, because I was not doing that hot mentally because of a bunch of shit, assignments, work, uni, other side projects, other responsibilities. It's just a bunch of shit I need to think about and plan for in a day, and that shit just builds up over time. But what I think helped was just accepting that I chose this path and I wouldn't deviate from it, because this journey and what I can learn from it is what I want. And if I quit, I'm not sure what I'd do, because other stuff in life would just feel so unfulfilling. So yeah, I'm taking the steps to take care of my mental more. I'm gratitude journaling to get me thinking positive thoughts, and also just pulling myself back whenever I catch myself thinking negative thoughts, because every time I do that, it rewires my brain just that little bit to think in that positive light. I reckon this is the way, and it's something I reckon everybody should, try to feel, because we are feeling creatures at the end of the day, and emotions don't last that long too. I heard it was something like 90 seconds, but yeah, sometimes it may feel a bit longer because you keep yourself in that negative headspace and it just keeps on cycling. I know because I imposed that on myself too, but yeah. if we feel in the first place, why would we choose to think negatively, you know, rather than being positive and bringing yourself up? Because I reckon bringing yourself up is nothing but a booster to your life and makes your day just that bit brighter. So, you know, go out and enjoy bait or something. But yeah, that's about it for this week. So if you guys are interested, check out me and my friend's Discord. It's just a chill place for everybody to talk and grow as traders, and we're all on that same path to become the traders that we want to become. So join up if you guys are keen. But yeah, that's about it for this one. So I'll see you guys in the next video.